everybody, and welcome to the start of a weekend reading vlog. I don't know why I think I can do this right now. I've been sick for like over a week, but I'm bored. So I'm going to try to do this. So I thought I would do a reading vlog this weekend where, I don't know, we'll just see how much I get through. I've been kind of stuck, cooped up in the house since I'm sick. So what else is there to do but read, right? So I am trying to decide which book to start first. I asked you guys on Instagram which one I should go with, and it's currently tied. So, my options. I've Gold Mountain by Betty G. Yee. They're both historical. This is historical fiction about Chinese immigration in America. And we're following a character who comes over, I believe during the gold rush, somewhere in there. And so we see sort of the way the Chinese were able to come to America, why they were coming, how they were treated. I think it has to do with the Transcontinental Railroad and that sort of thing. So I've had this on my TBR for a while. I bought this last year when it came out, and I meant to read it when it came out, and I just didn't. So I was really hoping to make this happen. The other book that I'm trying to decide between, and I might read both of these this weekend, so I don't know, we'll see. But the other book I have is Margot, and this is by Gillian Cantor, an author that I really, really want to read more of. So, I've had this forever. I bought this, I don't even know, maybe 8 years ago. It's been a while. But I don't know why I haven't picked this up. This is a sort of alternate history. What if Margot Frank didn't die, and she came to America and sort of tried to erase everything that had happened to her. But while she's trying to forget, the world is sort of discovering her sister. And Anne's diary is published. It's becoming a play. It's all of this stuff. And everyone around her is really excited and interested in learning more about Anne Frank. And Margot is just dealing with that. So I don't know. I'm kind of afraid to read this. I want to read it, but I feel like this is going to hurt me. Anne Frank is someone that is very special to me. I feel like she's a kindred spirit. I grew up reading her diary and kind of imagining myself in her shoes, and sort of like, I don't know, Anne is just a person that I feel very connected to. And so I don't know how this book is going to hit me, but I'm really, really curious about it. So those are my choices for my reading this weekend. I'm going to give the poll like another little bit to see what happens, because I got to go start some dinner. But after dinner, I'll see where the poll's at, and hopefully one of these is ahead. Right now they're tied, so we'll see. And I'll let you know what I'm starting. I just read the first 5 chapters of Gold Mountain, and I'm really liking it so far. I didn't really know what this was going in. I don't generally read much into the synopsis of books. Sometimes I don't read the synopsis at all. I knew this had to do with Chinese immigration and the Transcontinental Railroad, but that was it. This is a story about a girl who has grown up kind of well off. Her father is important in their village. I think he's like the magistrate or something like that. And this is just like a really contentious time, I guess. This is after the Taiping Rebellion. I guess he gets arrested because people didn't like the way he handled things. And her brother dies from the flu, and so she is left with this responsibility of having to save her family. And there are two paths that she could take. One is the traditional path. She could get married to a well-off family, and maybe they'll be able to pull some strings and get her father out of jail. The other path is that her brother had been given the opportunity to go to America to work on the Transcontinental Railroad, which would make him enough money to send home, and that could potentially save her father. So she decides to dress up as a boy and go to America. I did not know this was going to be like a Mulan kind of a story. I love that trope. I don't know. I think this has a lot of potential to be a favorite for me. I'm only, like I said, 5 chapters in. I've read not that much so far. I think I'm like just over 50 pages. So off to a good start. I love that it's a twin thing. I don't know. Twins always do it for me. I enjoy twin stories. Granted, her twin brother has died. So like, I guess it's not going to be like as much of a twin story, but she's referring to him a lot. She's pretending to be him. Also, just like, I love the concept of her dressing as a boy and trying to blend in and hoping no one notices. They talk a bit about how her father was against foot binding. So her aunt and her cousin both have their feet bound, and she talks about how hard it is for them to do things, and she often has to help them. And her father was against it, which her aunt was just, well, how's she going to get married? So, love all of that. So I'm hoping that this ends up being a 5-star read, because I really want that. I really need that. So I'll come back and let you guys know my thoughts when I finish it. I have a feeling I'm going to fly through it though, because it reads pretty quickly. And I have the audiobook set to 2.5, but I'm probably going to bump it to 3 in a minute once I get like acquainted. Like, I don't like I don't know how people do this. I usually start at 2 when I'm listening to audiobooks, and then I gauge it from there. Sometimes I find the narration doesn't work at a higher speed than that. Like, sometimes it depends on the narrator. I've listened to books where, like, if I went above 2, it was gibberish. And I've listened to books where I could go to like 3.5 because it just like the way the narrator speaks makes sense to my brain at that speed. I don't know. We'll see where I end up here, but it's not a very long book, so I'm hoping I finish this maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. So I am almost halfway through this so far, and I'm really liking this book. I don't know. I thought I mean, that's why I pre-ordered it. I thought I would like this, so I wanted to own it. And I'm right. I really enjoy stories about China and Asia in general, but like, since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to go to China. So like, reading about China and people from China coming to America, that kind of thing has always been really interesting to me. So I love that aspect of the story. But also, I really enjoy stories about girls dressing up as boys and trying to blend in and hide. And like, will they notice? Will anyone guess? And like, we're about halfway now, and I'm about 90% sure at least one character knows, but hasn't like come out and said it to her yet. But like they know, they've kind of hinted, and she's not taking the hint. So like she still thinks that she's hiding it well, but yeah. I don't know. I think that's maybe one of my favorite tropes. It always works for me. I am still quite sick. I cannot get rid of this cough. It's killing me, guys. There is so much I wanted to get done this month. So many videos I needed to film. Coming up on the end of the year, there's a lot of stuff I need to get going, and like, I can't do it right now. But I'm doing my best. That's why I'm doing this video over the weekend, to kind of like nudge me back into it. And hopefully this cough will go away. So, like I said, halfway. I'm going to try to finish this. If not tonight, definitely tomorrow. And I'll let you know my final thoughts. But like so far, halfway through, this is a solid 4 veering into a 5. Like I could see this becoming a 5. But right now I'd say it's a solid 4. Like I'm hoping for some more like things to happen. But I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm glad I bought this. I wasn't even sure when I bought it if this was like who this was for. Like, is this adult? Is this YA? I think it's YA. The main character is 16, I believe. So I feel like this, no, I think she's 15. So I feel like this definitely leans into YA. If it's not meant to be YA, it could work for YA. Like, so far, I would have no problems handing this to my 14-year-old, but like I still have half a book to go. So we'll see what happens. But right now, I feel like this is pretty solid YA. So, really enjoying it. Love the historical setting. Love the characters. All the characters are great so far. Like the men she's befriending in the camp and all of that stuff. Like it's all really good. So I think this is a debut author too. I don't know that I've read anything or seen anything else by this author, so I'm pretty sure this was a debut last year. So someone to look out for. All right, I'm going to get reading some more, rest my voice a bit, and then, like I said, I'll come back and I'll share my final thoughts, but I'm expecting this to be a 5-star. Hey guys, so I finished reading Gold Mountain this morning, and I loved this. 5 stars. I would classify this as young adult. The main protagonist is, I think, 15, 16, 17. At this is set over the course of like 2 years. So she's 15 at the beginning of the story. So I would say this is definitely a YA story. This is something I would be comfortable handing to any young teen. I would hand this to my daughter, who's 14, with no issues. This story follows our main protagonist, Ling, who her father has been wrongfully imprisoned in China. And to get him out, they need to raise money. And it's really hard for them to do that in China. Her brother has died, so it's just a bunch of women at home trying to figure out how to get him out. And so Ling does the thing that she believes would be the best way to save her father, which is to go to America and make money on Gold Mountain. They've heard stories about people making grand amounts of wealth to come home rich. And so she thinks that she could make a lot of money very quickly if she would just go there. It ended up taking her longer than she anticipated. And I love the story of any girl dressing as a boy and like trying to live in the man's world and disguise themselves, and like how does that work out? I thoroughly enjoyed that as a plot point. So if that's not a thing you like, this book's not for you. I really love girls who don't know how strong they are, finding out just how strong they are. Like, I love that as a plot point, and like that's a trope I will read every day. So I enjoy that a lot. Ling is a great character. She grows so much over the course of the story. not just like in who she is, but in like who she can trust, and learning about like how other people behave and that sort of thing. I love the story about working on the railroad because I feel like that's a story that we're not told enough about, like how much we owe people like the Chinese who came over, and, you know, other groups of people who came to America seeking wealth only to be treated really poorly. They were not treated well at all. The people who came from China to work on the railroads were treated really badly. They were very disposable to the Americans building the railroad. So yeah, I think that's an important story that should be told more often. And this story does a really good job of sort of showing how they were treated through Ling's eyes. I thought this was excellent. Lots of great characters in this book. Lots of intrigue with like who is the one causing all these accidents to happen. The competing railway lines, like, we can do this better. No, we can do it better. Like all of that is excellent in this story. And it's not very long. So this moves very fast. The plot, like the pace just keeps going the whole time. So it's very quick read. The audio was really good. I enjoyed it. Nothing spectacular, but like it was a really good quality audiobook. Yeah, I just thought this was fantastic. So 5 stars. So glad I read it. I have now completed my Build Your Library Reading Challenge. So I'm pretty pleased with myself. I've never done that before. I have been doing reading challenges for at least a decade. This is the first time I've ever 100% completed one. I am still sick. I'm feeling the teensiest bit better today. As you can tell, I can like talk a little more freely. Not 100%, still coughing quite a lot, very congested. But I had a good reading weekend. I kind of decided to just rest, read, try to relax the best that I can. So I finished one book. I'm also reading What the River Knows on my Kindle. I had the ARC for that, so I'm reading that in the evenings. I'm only like a quarter of the way in, but that's really good. That's a story about a girl who is Argentinian or from Argentina, and her parents were obsessed with Egypt and spent almost all of their time there, Egyptologists, and they disappear, and she finds out they died, and she goes to Egypt to see what was going on, and everything's very mysterious and no one's giving her any answers, and it's like a whole mystery about like what's happening, what happened to her parents. Why were they so obsessed with Egypt? Like, what were they looking for? Lots of intrigue there, too. So that's really fun. So lots of great things going on in my reading life. So next up, I'm going to read Margot, but I'm going to end the vlog here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of a weekend reading vlog. I know it wasn't that exciting to watch, but I had a good time reading. And I hope you had a good time reading along with me, hanging out. I'll see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.